Hey folks, today's guest is an absolute powerhouse in the service lane. Mindy Williams has been in the automotive industry for over 12 years, and let's just say she has made a very focused effort to make every single one of them count. She's a Subaru Star Wars. I want to say Star Wars. I wrote this and I said I want to say Star Wars. A Subaru Stars winner 5 times. A Myers Flyer legend, crushing it as the #1 service advisor back in 2019, dominating and sweeping the top volume, top tires, and top satisfaction in 2023. Oh, did I mention that she's a 2-time Sparkplug Award winner? We've had a lot of winners and champions on this show, so this is not any different. That's like being the MVP and making things happen at the same time. But beyond awards, Mindy's got a huge passion for the industry. Not just for what she's accomplished, but for the growth it offers to anyone willing to put in the work. Welcome to the Receptionist Podcast. This is Mindy's story, and let's get into it. Mindy, thank you very much for giving us a few minutes today.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Mindy, I want to give a quick bit of gratitude to Gene, who made the reference to, I asked Gene Rettelbach, who do you know that I need to get on my show? That somebody who has provided a tremendous value to the automotive community and who loves to give back, but needs to have their story told. And you were the first one that she pointed out to try and make that happen. So I really want to say a quick shout out to Gene. Thank you very much to you for getting us Mindy on the show. So Mindy, let's tuck into this. What got you into automotive?
So I actually fell into automotive like a lot of us do. I was in college to be a teacher, actually, and I wanted a second job because me and my husband, my boyfriend at the time, we had just bought a house. I was 19 in college, and we couldn't afford the outdoors channel. So we're like, you know what? I'm just going to want to watch some fishing and hunting. So I was like, let me just get a second job to help out with that. Nights and weekends is when I started working actually, he worked there too as a technician at the time, and I was the part-time receptionist. So I started in that way, and then they offered me full-time around my college schedule. So then I just went full-time there and dropped the other job. So definitely was hectic for a little bit there. And then I from the receptionist, went into a service appointment setter, filling in for service advisors, went to express service like, we do, and absolutely loved it. Loved the lane. Then moved to our Kia store. I started at a Honda store, moved to a Kia store, was the only advisor there for about 3 years, and then went into our Subaru store, which I am now, where I'm at. I love Subaru. And I've been here for about 8 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I want to take a little tidbit out of there. You were appointment setting. So a lot of folks don't know the challenges in that area of the dealership. And I would suggest that even advisors who have never done full-time appointment setting, like that's not their only role. They do it, they dabble, they call customers, they do this, they do that to try and get people in, But it's not the same as living and breathing it every day. My suggestion is, and I know a couple of folks out there listening and watching, make sure that many of their new hires go into that area of the dealership first to experience firsthand what it's like to deal with customers, both from the irate standpoint, because we literally just talked about comebacks on Service Drive Live, and we published a bit of content on Receptionist Podcast about comebacks, from the irate to the gleefully happy to come in and spend money. So can you walk us through a little bit of that? Because that's kind of in your first year, right? Appointment setting was kind of in your first year. Can you walk us through that a little bit for those who perhaps don't know what it's like?
Yeah. So for our service appointment setter, we would make all the appointments unless it was something where they wanted to talk to an advisor, of course. And then I would also do like the follow-up calls, and then also would call for special order parts and things like that. For service appointment setter, it's a busy job, especially in a position where I was at, because our Honda store was very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really cool way to get into the service department. And I was also helping out with like advising here and there. So I kind of got my foot in the door with that. And I feel like that's a really good way to start moving people up, is to go and, like you said, put them in the service appointment spots. They can start learning that program, and then also learning what that customer service side of it, connecting with people, because that's pretty much all it is connecting with people and making sure people felt heard. So it was a really good spot for me to start with. Then once I got in the lane, that's what I really, really liked, was the lane.
Yeah, that it's one thing to be able to curate relationships with people on the phone, and those who are successful at doing that on the phone can potentially be very, very, very successful with that in live face-to-face scenarios, right? Those same basic skills that you learn to create conversation, ask open-ended questions, learn how to handle objections on the phone, because there are certain positions, within the BDC where it's sales focused, not necessarily sales department focused, but just sales focused. Whether it's service or sales department, you're still a salesperson,
Absolutely.
right? As an appointment setter, you're not necessarily selling a thing. You're selling the appointment, right? You're selling the appointment to get somebody in to come into sales. You're selling the appointment for someone to come into service. Your job is to sell the appointment, right?
Absolutely.
So the same objection handling comes to mind. What are perhaps maybe one or two little things that you could suggest that you learned in that time as an appointment setter, let's say very specifically for objection handling? What were one or two things that you used as an appointment center that you then used as an advisor in the lane?
So definitely asking questions, asking open-ended questions, of course, about their concern, just getting as much information as much as possible as you can on the phone. Because sometimes we have a little bit more time on the phone than we do when we're right in front of them. So just having all that already preloaded so you can kind of have that ready for the technician. And then also just being fun on the phone with them, sounding cheery, smiling on the phone. They can hear if you're smiling. And then just making it a fun experience for them. Don't just turn it into okay, when do you want to come in? Like, oh, okay, the weather's going to be this is this, or do you want to sleep in a little bit, or do you want to come in at the crack of dawn? Like, what do you want to do? So, like, just adding little fun details in there instead of just being like a robot. I think definitely. And that's for
Okay.
anything, the service advising or the appointment setter. Just be fun. Make them remember you, basically.
100%. I like the little tidbit in there. You can hear let me say this succinctly for those, and I try this as much as I possibly can. You said they can hear you when you're smiling. That tidbit is super important, right? Because it doesn't matter whether you're parts, advisor, express lane, appointment setting, front desk reception, it doesn't matter. I realize that it's a bit like masking, like two-faced, like those kinds of things. But even just putting on that smile and getting through the customer service day can dramatically affect not only the customer's day, but the customer's desire to spend money with the store.
Absolutely.
Your behavior, your output, your outward, you don't just wear a suit, you wear a smile. So it's important that you do that. So to that point, now you've been into the service lane and you absolutely love it. What part of the service lane? Let's ask you the second. What's the second best thing that you love about the service lane that isn't the people? Like, because obviously that relationship building and that building that you built on from appointment setting is the people. What's the second best thing?
So I really, really love the challenge of selling. I get an adrenaline rush when I sell a big job, and I love that. I'm a service manager now, so I still service right though. We never replaced my position, so we still have 2 advisors, and then now I do just 50/50. So I do the managing stuff, of course. I go in my office and I do the manager stuff, but 50% at least I'm on the lane with them. So that way I still get that, and I'm able to be with them, and it just works really well for our store for me to be out there still because I was the only advisor for so long. So a lot of customers have grown to know me, and so just taking me completely out, they would be like, "Oh my gosh." But I really do love the people, but I also really do love that thrill of selling when I'm on the lane. That's one of my favorite parts of it. Second to the
Awesome.
course.
Awesome. There is not many people that actually enjoy that part of the
I
process.
don't know why I love it.
I enjoy it.
Mhm.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I'm self-proclaimed I suck at sales, but for me, with my experience in the lane, I don't think I got as much of adrenaline rush out of it as you perhaps, because I think when my sales started to come in was when I stopped personally, when I stopped trying to sell because I now had curated relationships with
Yes.
people. I was never very good at objection handling. I think still to this day, I suck at objection handling. Perhaps that's a bit of the tism that I have difficulty understanding facial expressions and body language to a certain degree, but I sucked at it. But when I really did start to notice is when I think the giddy part that I got was when I looked at my own data and when I looked at my reports at the end of the month, it's like, okay, last month I was 1.2 hours per work order, and now I'm 1.4. And now my paycheck is infinitely bigger, which means that, okay, these are the things that I did right. These are the things that I did right. These are the things that I definitely don't need to be doing again. So I think just looking at the information was more fun for me than the adrenaline rush of trying to make a sale. For an aspiring service advisor trying to learn the things you spoke about, one, being happy, being bubbly, being open to those conversations, asking open-ended questions. What perhaps in the moment, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the one objection handle that you use on a regular basis that usually helps you close a sale?
So you definitely want to sell the benefits of it and not just the service. I hear a lot, and I tell my advisors all the time too. Don't be an order taker, basically. Don't just offer it like a menu. Don't offer just a menu. Like, really explain what you're selling to them. Also, if you have somebody that's on the fence, if you have loaner cars, put them in a loaner car overnight instead of letting them leave, because a lot of times they won't come back. If you put them in a loaner car, that kind of keeps them in, with you. And sometimes they'll still say no. Sometimes they'll call you and they're in the loaner and you're like, just go ahead and do it. To basically take out any objections that you can think of. So offer them financing if you have financing option. Offer them a loaner car so that way they know that they have a loaner car and a ride. And then just build a trust with them. So I have a lot of customers, and the reason why I've been so successful is I've built up a lot of relationships and friendships with customers. So they know that when I'm telling them that they need something, that they need it. So there's a lot of trust there. So just build comebacks basically in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
Don't come back in the bad way, but if you build relationships with them, and it will help you with the bad comebacks too. But also when you're telling them, hey, you need this $5,000 repair, they're gonna really think about it a lot more if they know you, if they have a relationship with you, if they know your kids, and if they feel comfortable with you. So definitely build a relationship with them because it goes so far with it.
Appreciate that. One of the things that I did as an advisor I was taught this, and I've tried to teach as many people as I can, is everybody has a very, very, very amazing tool on their desktop pretty much across the board. And it's been around for 20 odd years. It's a free tool to the advisor anyway. It's not the latest, greatest. It's not some super fancy, expensive tool or software that's super specialized. It's called a calendar. And in this calendar, you can put any amount of things about your customer in it. And the really cool thing is the dates, the important dates of something in a customer's life can be very, very quickly introduced into that calendar. And then guess what? You can put a reminder on that calendar, which means every day down the road, you can start having notifications about your customers that you can go, hey, Mr. Robertson, I really appreciate you coming in 6 months ago and having your RAV4 or your Outback taken care of. Really appreciate it. I remember you were talking about your daughter going to university this coming fall. I wanted to wish you well. I know the journey is going to be long. That I'm going to Western. I know it's going to be a 7 or 8 hour drive. I really appreciate your business, and I really hope that drive to university is successful. You didn't sell anything.
Yep.
I didn't sell anything, but I did.
You
I
sold
sold
yourself.
myself.
Yep.
Right? And those customers go, who is this guy following up about my daughter going to university? He didn't ask for anything. He didn't want anything. It's not a generic email about an offer on tires or wiper blades that I don't bloody need. He's literally remembered that my daughter's going to. I didn't remember. I didn't actually remember. You think I have that kind of memory? It's in my bloody calendar to make sure that you know who I am and I know who you are and build that relationship. So use your calendar. Mindy has just said this most amazing thing and said over her career, the thing that has developed the most and the most success is building relationships. Free tool. Your calendar. Use it.
Yes. Very good idea.
You've been warned. You've been illuminated.
And roll into that also, just like that, listen to them, really ask about their day. When you're on the lane, don't just take an order and get them on to the next customer. Really say, hey, how's your day going? And that makes your day a lot more enjoyable too, because I found out so much cool stuff from customers, and sometimes to the point where I'm talking too long, to them. But if they mention something like that, like their daughter going to college, or it's their birthday this weekend, or anything like that. I mean, I've been known to go and grab a birthday cake and bring them a birthday cake back if I know they're coming back. Or we have a customer that comes in, and he's an amazing customer, but every time he comes in, we know that he likes breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. One time we were ordering it, and he was like, oh, I'll pay for it for you guys. And we're like, no, we got you. So now every time he comes in, we have biscuits and ready for him because we know that about it. And I mean, we're Facebook friends now. That's how it goes, But either way, you just get to know them. I had a customer, Mr. Hale. He's now passed away, and he was one of my favorite customers, to the point where I was at his funeral and I was crying. And the lady beside me was like, how did you know him? And I'm like, I was his advisor. And I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter. I looked absolutely ridiculous. And they're like, advisor? Because I just got so close to him. I'm still talking to his wife all the time. Anyways, during COVID, he loved coming in here, typically before COVID, he loved coming in here and getting these trail mixes that we had, always snacks or whatever. So anytime we'd go pick up his car, I'd put a whole bunch in there, and that way he had it. But once he stopped coming in because he wasn't really driving his car, I just sent to his house a big old box of that trail mix and was like, "Hey, thinking about you. We miss seeing you." And like little, it cost like, I don't know, $20. But to him, it meant the world because I was thinking about him even when he wasn't here. And that's kind of my thing here. Subaru is really big about the love promise stuff and everything. And that's how I feel too about it. I'm always sending customers like wind chimes if they say somebody passed away, or cookies, like a feel good, feel better cookies, like just things to show that we care. It doesn't have to cost so much, but just something that you can just send to them and be like, "Hey, we're thinking about you because you're family to us." And I'm telling you, that has gone so far with my customers. I probably,
I think a lot of folks need to really take note of that
yeah. I mean,
because
it's fun to do too.
it's fun. It's fun as an individual to do, and the important thing to take away from here is it's not both the calendar share and sending, sending trail mix or having bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits, or I think chapter 5 of Gary Vaynerchuk's first book is one word. It's care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why that exists. There's a reason why that's so impactful. Your customers, it doesn't matter whether you see, 200 cars a day or 2 cars a day. Care,
Yes.
right? It doesn't take much to do that. Now, it's a lot harder to do at 200 cars a
Oh,
day, but you have more resources in order to do it, right? So it's tactical, it's thoughtful, it's not mindless robotic printed sheets of, this letter is from this dealership wishing you a happy birthday on your birthday. But come on.
yeah. That's
I want a
fine.
handwritten. You know what would be more impactful? A handwritten note on a piece of yellow lined paper with a pen, and it's obviously handwritten by someone who isn't necessarily great at handwriting, but that means it was personalized, it was thoughtful, and it was delivered to the person with care,
Yes, absolutely.
right? And it doesn't just need to be Subaru. I know that Subaru is big on love promise, but any brand can have that level of attention and care to anybody. It doesn't require exclusivity at the top end, and it doesn't require small volume at the other end. Care. So that leads me to, let's say, you have a daughter. Okay, so we need to talk about that a little bit. And the reason why we need to talk about that a little bit is you're now in a position where you're leading a team of people, technicians, advisors, parts people. You are a mother of at least one. You had 2, a mother of 2, and you're in a position that is exceptionally demanding of your time. I don't have the life that you have. I am a man. I have had a certain series of circumstances through my life that in some circumstances are going to be entirely different. I don't think using the phrase more difficult or less difficult is appropriate. I think it's just incredibly different. In your circumstances, being a mom, now being a manager of a team, what about leading a team has taught you about parenting, and what about parenting has taught you about leading a team?
So definitely, I am very good at multitasking because of being a mom and because of this job. So they kind of go hand in hand. Also, improvising, always innovating new ideas on how to handle things, thinking outside the box. Being a mom is very demanding, and also this job is very demanding, as you know. And sometimes they will override. Like I think the last time we talked, my kid was sick, and then my daughter was sick again 2 weeks ago because daycare germs, they love to share. Sharing is caring, but not when it comes to sicknesses. But anyway, so we got hit with that pesky flu. My son, he unfortunately has an overdramatic immune response where he has seizures sometimes when he's sick. So that adds another level to it. So there's definitely plenty of times where I have to take him to work with me and things like that. I even have a playpen. Well, I don't know if you can see it right there, where
Yeah.
I just bring her to work with me sometimes, like on snow days and things like that. So definitely just kind of thinking outside the box on how are we going to make this work, either in my shop or, with parenting and trying to figure everything out. That definitely helps and kind of goes side by side together, is that you basically learn how to just make it work no matter what.
Make it work no matter what. Now I understand from a slightly different view because Robert's been on the show, Migs has been on the show, and I'm looking forward to publishing Migs out there too.
Okay, he's awesome.
CMA is I don't even know what the right word is. CMA is obviously, from the outside, at least me looking in, a very family oriented, we'd rather keep things tight and make sure our customers are taken care of than making a ton of money. Now, obviously, by caring for your customers and your clients and your guests, you're going to make money because you take care of, as Branson says, take care of your customers and they'll take care of you. So in that mindset, in that caring for your customers, in that caring for your family comes first. And How do they take care of that from not just for you, but for your team? How do they do that? Is there something there that other groups and stores can learn from?
So one thing that sets us apart, I feel like, is we have ESOP for one. So that's employee stock ownership. So that's good overall for all of our employees gets that. Which of course, younger people, when they're going into this, they don't really think about the retirement. They're more like YOLO, you know. But that basically does it for you. We've had a service manager that actually retired as a millionaire off of that. So that's something that they look out for you one. They're also always trying to see how we can make our lives better for the employees. So we did like a CliftonStrengths assessment so we could kind of look at that. And we have a director of people that is amazing and they're always trying to find ways to make work-life balance a little better. I mean, of course it is a dealership. They have dealership hours. But like my advisors, if they work a Saturday, they have a day off during the week, which is not always like that everywhere else. I work Saturdays rotations with them, so that way they're not every other Saturday, they're every third Saturday. So basically, we really try to make sure that people want to come to work. They're happy, they have feel goods, that you don't have that bad feeling on Sunday evening, you know, not looking forward to Monday. So they really preach that on a whole. We have service manager meetings every month, but we also have them once a quarter, and we always are talking how we can make it a better place to work and for, you know, us and then also our employees.
Would you say that's probably the most important thing that comes up in those monthly and quarterly meetings?
Oh yeah,
How do we make sure the team wants to come to work?
absolutely, absolutely. We literally just did an engagement survey and we had a whole meeting about engagement and which managers had better engagement, where we had to work on certain things, whether we were praising our employees enough and making sure people feel it, because everybody feels love in a different way. It's just like your love languages. If you're married, like your husband's gonna or wife is gonna feel love, you know, whatever, a different way than you feel love. And that's the same way as your employees. I have one technician that feels loved if I, you know, buy him a little gift every once in a while. I have another one if I just tell him how good he's doing and just verbally tell him. So everybody's just different in how they feel appreciated. And that's where it comes to, again, relationships. There's relationships are so important with your customers, but they're also very important with your coworkers and your employees, because how are you going to know how they're going to feel appreciated if you don't know them? So get to know them, talk to them. I have technicians hanging out in my office all the time if we're slower, because they're just like all on the floor and they're like, "Are you guys gonna hire anybody else?" I'm like, "I don't have enough room in my office for anybody else, you guys." No. Because I'm very lucky. We have 11 technicians, and technically we're overstaffed, which is not really the norm in today's industry. So I'm very lucky with a good shop of guys, and I know every single one of them on how they feel appreciated. And I think that's very, very important as a manager.
That's awesome. You actually have a system and have done a system to see if people are feeling appreciated and if they're being appreciated in the right way. That is epic. That is epic. Just a quick reference, going back, I did the Registrar's Wellness Survey a hot minute ago, and the number one concern for technicians was feeling heard by service advisors. Obviously, if you take pay out of the entire scale, the second one was always leadership. It's always leadership in some capacity. I don't know my leadership. I don't know who they are. They don't communicate or all kinds of different things. The feedback in all of that survey was interesting, but to not feel heard, I don't think that any of them can necessarily say I don't feel heard. That would definitely be an entirely different survey result than the normal. So that's awesome to hear. So what's happened between that from first year appointment setting, getting into the lane to winning Sparkplug Awards for CMA? What's happened between and now to make that happen? Was that a passion for the industry? What cultivated that?
So enjoying my job. I know that that's hard to do sometimes, but if you really come to work every day and you think, okay, I'm gonna have fun today with this, and you really make it into a fun thing, because service advising, technicians, all of it, it can be fun if you want it to be. I know technicians have a little bit different side of it because it's actual manual labor. There's a lot of stressful days up in the lane too, and it's if you go in there with the mentality of, oh my God, here I go again, it's going to be a bad day. If you go in there like, okay, how can I make it fun today? Talk to people, joke with people, just have fun with it. Get to know your coworkers, make relationships with them. And it grew into a passion. When I started service writing, it was supposed to be temporarily. It wasn't supposed to be my career. I was supposed to be a teacher, and then I fell in love with it. And I'm like, I don't think I can leave. I just love it so much. And now I'm a service manager, but I still get to do it. But either way, it's just really, really come in there and be dedicated to having a good day, enjoying yourself, and being positive about it, and building relationships, making friendships with people. Because that once you start making friendships with all these people, like every day I come in here, I at least have 4 or 5 customers that come in that I literally know. I know their names, I know their kids' names, and it's cool that when you come there and you feel like you know people. So, I definitely feel like building relationships and having fun makes the job so much better.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. No, really, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that very much. Folks, I just want to take a quick second shout out to the sponsor of this episode and a partner of the show, the Bearded Brotherhood. We've got some really awesome things coming down the pipe, some new content coming, some new offers for y'all coming. I'm make sure there's stuff in the description of the episode, both here on YouTube and or here on Spotify, whichever place you're watching or listening from. I'm really trying to change things up on what I'm doing in terms of sponsor the show, partners of the show, making sure that they're giving back to the community in some capacity, making sure they're servicing the community in some capacity. So keep on the lookout for that. Make sure you check out thebeardedbrotherhood.co, not com. It's thebeardedbrotherhood.com. Hopefully I was smart enough to put it as a link down at the bottom here so y'all can check it out. And let's get back into it. So, Mindy, one of the little tidbits in here that you talked about is talking about leadership, talking about parenting, talking about multitasking. How does that lead into perhaps your one piece of advice to help technicians be healthier, happier, more productive?
Definitely be honest with how you're feeling. Make sure that you can go to your manager and tell them what you're feeling. Don't bottle it up. If you're like so many of the men I know, or so many of the techs, it doesn't even have to be men. Sometimes you bottle things up and you don't come out and tell somebody what's wrong or what's bothering you, even if it's at home, and then that snowballs. Negativity breeds negativity even within yourself. So make sure you reach out and get help, talk to people, because this job can be demanding, this job can be hard, but make sure you have a friend, make friends inside of the shop, because that makes it so much more enjoyable when you have somebody that you can have inside jokes with and, joke around, because some days are slower than others. And when you have people that you legitimately want to hang out with, it makes it so much better. So it kind of just goes back to build relationships with who you're at. And if you're not happy where you're at, find out what the root cause is and try to go to your manager and actually say, hey, this is why I'm not happy, and see if it's something that can change, because most of the time it's something that you can work on and make better.
Awesome. Making sure not just curating relationships with potential customers or your leader per se, but actually building relationships, with your baymates and people you work with, to make sure you have somebody to talk to in case you have those moments where you need somebody to talk to.
We all have
That's
to do that.
really, really good advice.
Yeah.
That's really, really good advice. So I appreciate that very much. So I have another question to ask you.
Okay.
So here we have, let me scroll down here to where's my notes? Where's my notes? I scrolled too far, didn't I? Yep, I definitely scrolled too far. So I'm going to definitely have to edit all of that out. Da, 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 da. What's going on? Ooh, this isn't good. Where's my questions gone to? Oh, here we go. I was just being dumb. Okay, so folks, we have a question for Mindy that we've been continuing on the roll here. The question is, the last guest, whoever it happens to be, answers a question from the previous guest and then asks a question of the next guest.
Okay.
So today, Mindy gets to answer the question from David Rodriguez. David Rodriguez's question, if I said that properly, to Mindy is, how do you create or determine your own personal work-life balance?
This one is hard for me because I am one of those people that are doing reports at 2 a.m. So I have a 5-year-old, almost 5-year-old next month, and then I have a 1-year-old who still doesn't sleep. So I like to do, so at 2 a.m. when they wake me up, I'm on the computer doing stuff, reports and things like that. So work-life balance is something that I always sometimes struggle with, but thankfully, since I really do enjoy my job, it makes it a little bit easier on that. Sometimes I'll try to make sure that I'm taking a lunch break and make sure I do something for myself, like go on a little quick hike or something like that. That way it's not taking you out of the store all day, but at least you are getting a little bit of moment to yourself, especially as a busy mom. I'm either being needed by my kids or I'm needed by my techs. And sometimes it's just nice to be like, hey, you guys, I'm walking out for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll be back. And the reality is I'm supposed to turn my phone off, and I never do.
Yeah.
Just going for a walk and getting away and just taking some time for yourself, because it is very important. You don't want to get burnt out. Yeah.
There's got to be a way for you to take a breather in some capacity because, like I say on a regular basis, the trade is hard. It doesn't matter whether you're in the lane, at the front of the house, the back of the house, on the shop floor. It doesn't matter. This industry, this job, it's hard. It's hard. Sometimes you need to take a minute to make sure you can get through the rest of the day. If you need to do that, make sure you tell somebody what you're doing, because the last thing you want to do is just walk out. Most people frown upon that in some capacity. So make sure you tell somebody what's going on. But usually, in my experience, when you tell somebody, especially a leader, that, hey, I need to go take 45 minutes, Well, didn't you just take lunch? It's like, and I know. I need to go take 45 minutes. An intelligent leader will go, okay, but come talk to me when you get back.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it
Let's
out
talk about
together. Yeah, you're not alone in
it.
that.
Right? Right. So be mindful of that, be thoughtful of that. And if you don't have a leader like that, that will make sure that you're good, then we need to work on some other things to make sure that you're good. So reach out because Mindy, anybody that's been on the show is been more than happy to say, hey, how can I help in some capacity?
Absolutely.
Right. So make sure you do reach out. So with that said, Mindy,
Okay.
what's your question for the next guest?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. How do you handle any kind of negative feedback? That's a good one.
How do you handle negative feedback? That has not been asked yet. How do you handle negative? Because I don't even know who's going to be next. I don't know who's going to be next. That should be good. How do you handle negative feedback? Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mindy, that's an awesome question and a great way to leave the show. Mindy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome. And folks, I think that's going to be the end of today's show. It was a really good show. I did not expect it in the direction that it went. I'm very happy that it came up the expectation because Jean praised Mindy up and down, somebody who needed to tell her story, and they
I
absolutely
love
needed
her.
to tell her story. So I think that's a great way to end. I really hope that you enjoy the episode. I really hope that you hit that like button. I really hope that you hit the subscribe button. It really helps the show. Make sure you leave comments down below. What do you think about the question? What do you think about the answer to the question? Want to hear about it in the comments? Make sure you leave the comments. And as we end the show with a quote, like we always do, I've got a little one here for you today. Very little. It's only like 6 words. It's always too early to quit. Norman Vincent Peale. Folks, remember, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.